Okay, welcome everyone, and hello to Julie, and hi to Cliff. I know, Cliff, you can only stay for a little while today, but thank you for joining us again.
My pleasure.
So we'll see who else turns up, but as always, we're not attached to numbers on these calls. We always have interesting conversations, and as I always say, I'm looking forward to the time when I'm the only person on, so I don't have to be interrupted. Anyway, so let's just start with an alignment, which is what we always do, which is just taking 3 deep breaths in through the nose and blowing out slowly over the bottom lip, just to fully land in the space. And those 3 breaths are a wonderful way to calm the nervous system, consciously dropping from mind into heart, dropping into the body, coming out of everything that happened this morning, coming out of going to the election station, the polling station, and spoiling my ballot paper, and coming out of everything after today's call to be fully in the present, where all of the power is, fully feeling the support of the earth beneath our feet and the chair beneath our sitting bones, and being fully present and listening with the heart to one another, and being fully present for one another. Okay, I don't have any special reading to put forward, but anyway, let's go straight into it. Yeah, so I have just spoilt my ballot paper, and I did try and take a picture of it, but the woman said I wasn't allowed, and I said, "What? Who says?" And she said, "The government says." And I thought, I can't argue this one because I don't want to be arrested. She probably would have called the police or something. Anyway, so I took a Sharpie pen and I wrote across my ballot paper, for the mayoral election, I do not consent to the mayor or the combined county authority, and this is not a free and fair election. And for the police and crime commissioner, I wrote none of the above. The police is supposed to be a non-political, the police is supposed to be non-political. So it's actually an aberration that there should be a police and crime commissioner voted in that is connected to a political party, actually. Anyway, so that got that off my chest. So that was my exciting morning. Anyway, Cliff, you don't have long with
Is it
us
not? Well,
today.
I've got a bit longer than I thought because they've been delayed. But do you not go into a booth now? Then do you actually sign it in front of them and do it all in front of them?
When you go into a booth, but there are signs up saying do not take photos. So I basically, I shouldn't have asked. I should have just told her I am going to take a picture. But I said, is it okay for me to take a picture? And she said no. So I asked her authority and she didn't consent. So
And
anyway.
really, at the end of the day, you could actually do it very sneakily without them even noticing, couldn't you, if you'd have
Well,
wanted?
I could have done, but they know who I am in this area, and the fact that I was writing like an essay,
Yeah.
it clearly wasn't an X in the box. So they were watching me, so they would have called the police. Anyway, but it is what it
But
is.
also, they shouldn't even be watching you.
But what's the law regards them you not being able to take a photo of your ballot paper?
Well, exactly. So I could have got into that, like, where does it say in the legislation and whose authority, and I do not consent. I could have gone into that, but I thought,
No.
it's
You
too
have better
sunny and
things to
nice
do with your
day.
time.
I don't want my energy drained by arguing the toss.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it is what it is. So
as you say, it's picking what to do with your time and energy, isn't it? Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. How many battles can I fight?
Did you guys get the storm last night?
Not here.
Oh, we had the most incredible, just the most mind-blowing storm. I mean, I love storms, but it was like I woke up, it's 4 o'clock in the morning. I thought there was a police car outside because the light was going like every 2 seconds. It was this blinding flash. And I thought, oh, there's police outside because it was like so regular. And then I heard the thunder and I was like, hold on a minute, that's And literally every 2 seconds there was a bolt of lightning. Every 2 seconds, the thunder was just incredible, and the rain that came down, it was just. I wanted to get. If it had been 4 o'clock, I'd have immediately run out of my shorts and stood in the rain and allowed it to wash me completely, because it was. Yeah, it was absolutely mind-blowing storm, but it was wonderful. It was so cool. Sorry, I just had to ask you guys, because you're obviously in different parts of the country, so it was interesting.
I didn't notice it if there was one here, but
Right.
anyway, so one of the big topics I felt like was calling for discussion today, and it's a shame Roger's not on, but this idea of kind of giving up on standing as independents and kind of folding into, for example, Workers' Party of Britain. And I know you're standing there in Mansfield, which seems to me to make absolute sense because it's so Labour. But I strongly believe that it's important to stand as independent, because to me, political parties are the problem. That's the way I'm seeing it. And Cliff, obviously you're working on this. You're absolutely determined to create this platform that can link all the independents, because if the independents were like a political party, and that's kind of what we were always trying to do with the Love Movement, to kind of create this network of aligned people who believed in the values of liberation, opportunity, vitality, and empowerment. If we could create that network, then we would be a force and we didn't have to be a political party, but it hasn't been plain sailing. Julie, do you want to just give a share on where you're at with everything with George Galloway?
Yeah, life is definitely keeping me busy. I would like to meet George Galloway physically, because then I can suss people's energy better and hopefully have a proper conversation about things that I don't necessarily hear him talking about. There's been some bits that I've been listening to, some of the interviews and videos and things, and so far there's bits that I've gathered about him, like he did vote for Brexit, so I was pleased about that, which I hadn't heard before. And these little bits that I'm trying to gather enough information to see how I continue feeling. People seem much more okay with George Galloway and Workers' Party of Britain than certain responses I had about Reform UK. Even though I wasn't joining Reform UK, I was amazed at how people that I know basically just turn around and call me a racist, but they know me, so they know I'm not a racist. And so I was amazed at how anti that political party they were. And then some of those same people have been absolutely fine about me being involved with the Workers' Party. And yeah, so it is definitely keeping me busy. I'm going to 2 of the gatherings for the Trades Unions Council this weekend, bank holiday weekend, in Nottingham on Saturday and Chesterfield on Monday. And so then I'll be with people more informally than I have been at the different meetings. So that's another way of feeling who they are and how they are. I used to be part of the coal mining, working for the deep mines and Opencast. So I was in the NUM, and then it became the UDM, Union of Democratic Mine Workers, when the strikes all happened. And so I've got some feel for that movement, but I've not been involved with it for years. So it'll be interesting. It'll just be a new experience for me. And other than that, life is keeping me busy with lots of different things. And I just keep reaching out to people, tell me what you think and why, but try and tell me to talk to me rather than tell me off. Yeah.
So, Julie, can I ask a question on George Galloway's kind of party? Is that because I don't really know much about his party or anything at all. I saw that he got voted in and everything, which was great, minuscule amounts of votes, which was hilarious. Is his party independent MPs just put under a banner which seems the same as Reform? Because Reform, they are all independent. There is no whip. but they are part of a party. It seems there's a kind of like a new wave almost of thinking where you can be in a party, they'll sponsor you and provide the finance that you need to ensure that you're you kind of, you're not out of pocket, but they've not got a whip and they haven't got but you are independent. However, how where that starts and where that stops, we probably wouldn't find out until, or if they got into power, which is kind of a scary thought. So how's George Galloway's party set up? Is it similar to that, or?
Right, well, from what I've gathered of Reform UK, and I was watching something that Lee Anderson had been recorded, because he's just joined Reform UK very recently. So I know of Lee Anderson because he's Ashfield, which is next to Mansfield. And he was saying in the recording that he had been approached and offered some money. But Workers' Party of Britain, even to be able to be a candidate, you won't necessarily get any funding. And so we have to step forwards knowing that we might not be funded. They are trying to unite with independents, and people don't have to, this is my understanding anyway, people don't have to necessarily join for Workers' Party of Britain to accept that person is on the ballot paper as an independent, and so Workers' Party might not put a candidate on that ballot paper.
Like Jeremy Corbyn, they said they wouldn't stand one against him, didn't they?
Yeah, and I think Diane Abbott as well. I think they won't stand against her, from what I can gather. So they are embracing the independents that have got the approach that they're happy with. My understanding is that anyone that is a member that wants to be a candidate under the Workers' Party of Britain, they have to present at the local branch meeting. The people that are at that meeting can say what they think advantages and disadvantages of that person through a particular online link. But we, as the members, aren't actually voting them in. We can just express our opinion, and then the head office is going to be looking more into each of those individuals. Don't know if they'll be interviewed by the head office or what to actually become candidates. But the recent George Galloway outside Parliament, I think it was yesterday, feels like yesterday or the day before, he said, I think they've got another about 200 candidates that are coming to them. I don't know if they're all coming as members or if they're independent. So they are definitely connecting with the independents, if that lot made sense.
He said they had 500.
My understanding is that we don't, we, even as Nottinghamshire, we've all got different priorities and things that we need. As far as I know, we are not accepting being whipped, because that is an area that I really would have an issue with. And I know that I want to not be whipped and not have to be given to any whip. We did have a bit of discussion about that recently, but when you think of the psychology that some people use, some people don't realise they're being whipped because they're basically being psychologically whipped without realising that's what they're doing. But my understanding is that we can be a completely independent branch within the Workers' Party of Britain and their manifesto. So.
They have got 500, he said at that speech, they've got 500 already candidates for the next general election. And so there can't be much screening, to be quite honest, to get 500 within the space of like 2 months or so.
Yeah, it depends who those 500 are, because if they already know of those people, then they probably know them well enough. But people like me, they won't know, because I'm sort of a new kid on the block, aren't I? But because I'm branch secretary, I've been told that I won't be put forward as a candidate because I've got the other role. But I have suggested, well, what about paper candidates? But then, of course, there's the finance side of things, particularly if it's for a general election.
Oh, so you're not standing for Mansfield?
Well, that is the approach that's happening at the moment, but I'm still waiting to see on that, because I want to make sure somebody is standing for Mansfield. But obviously the finance and everything like that might be a sticking point for me anyway. So
Yeah, so this is the thing, Cliff. I mentioned this to you about this being a bit of a clincher with the whole independence, because you know, you look at reform, they are being bankrolled, as we said last week, and so if people have got to kind of find their own money, you're down to only independents who are rich, like rich business people, or who've got rich backers.
Yeah.
And if we could find a way to raise the funding, you know, for candidates, that would unlock things massively.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But and I think going back to what you said, that I think in one interview you said 500, and then another one he said 200. So I think that I've heard two numbers from.
Yeah.
from
I'm
him
not sure if the
regard-
200 is 200 new ones. So it might be that we'd already got 300 in place and 200 new ones. And interesting that I just said we. Yeah.
Yeah, he definitely said they've got 500 ready to go, and that if the general election is in the autumn, then they will fully expect to have 600 and however many, 650. They're not going to stand in
Right.
Northern Ireland, he said.
So it's an interesting one, isn't it? There seems to be this kind of new this new kid on the block type process where it's so that they're kind of like not quite a party but still a party. It's kind of it's a funny one. It's like we're not really a party because we haven't got a whip, and so therefore we're not, you know, don't treat us like the other ones, but we are going to bankroll you, and we'll kind of look after you, and we will have a head office, and we will have a decision of who does and who doesn't, and we will kind of, so there will be a control mechanism within the structure. And I think this is the biggest thing about any party, is that every party at some time or another votes a leader, and the moment you have a leader, they tend to have a quango of people around them, as we've seen, but you know, close people around them that they want to that support and look after them. And the moment you've got that, then you've got a power structure within the party that causes, which can then be used to coerce or threaten, or well, not threaten, maybe it's too harsh a word, but to coerce other MPs into following suit. And I think this is the biggest thing. In fact, one of the things I was just writing another post today about, you know, if this is your career, if your career is as a politician, if we all think about how we look at our careers, then you don't care what company you work for. You don't care what job they kind of give you. You're only after the money. That's how we, you know, the main directive of anybody is, if they've got a family or you know, and they're trying to climb a ladder, the main directive is just to do what you're told to do to get as far as you possibly can for to get as much money as you possibly can. So the moment politics is your career, basically, in my mind, you're kind of you kind of immediately lose all your integrity and morality, because the directive is to make as much money as possible. So therefore, it's my career. I can, you know, it's like a footballer who leaves one club and goes to another club. You say, well, it's their career, you know. Everybody's, oh yeah, but they used to play for us and now they play for the opposition. It's like, well, it's your career. So it's like, this is the strength, I think, of the independent MP, is that they have none of the structure of the above. There's no way they can be coerced or pressured or pushed into changing or doing a particular vote, because in effect their only bosses are their constituents. That's the only people they have allegiance to, and that's the power of the independent above all others, which is why replacing a party with another party, the moment it has a party structure, for me, whip or no whip, without whip obviously for me is way better than with whip, but there's still a party structure there.
Yeah, Roger's just joined. Hi, Roger. How you doing?
Hello, Richard. I'm fine.
Have you got any clothes on? Have you
Pardon?
got any clothes on?
No, I haven't. Well, I've got my underpants on anyway. I didn't have time to get dressed.
Sorry.
I thought that the meeting was tomorrow, and then I
Okay.
just realised I was missing it, so I just quickly joined it. So I gave that priority over putting a shirt on.
Oh, does Julie want to say something there?
Yeah,
You
just
know,
very
it's really-
briefly, Hugh is saying that he can't seem to get into the meeting. He says the link above tried old meeting invite, but it says busy in other meeting. But I've said, has he tried those codes? So he's definitely trying to get on.
Okay. All right. Anyway, so Roger, keep going.
Well, yeah, I read your reaction to my post yesterday, and I've responded accordingly. Yeah, I do need to get with Cliff's scheme. I need to be included in this scheme. How do I do that?
It's Greater Britain. We're basically, I'm just putting together a platform now, and the platform will allow independent MPs, and we are considering looking at reform, and we're considering looking at Workers' Party, because in effect, my key directives when I started doing all this was fundamentally very simple: stop Labour and Conservatives from getting into power. That was it. I mean, that was my directive, because in my mind, anything is better than that. And
Yeah.
we can have a dream that we get 650 independent MPs in, and it all changes overnight, and it's all lovely, and they're all got, and all the Labour and Conservatives have disappeared, and they've all walked off with their suitcase. You know, it ain't going to happen. I mean, that's not being defeatist. There's enough people out there who are still fast asleep and stuck in their old ways and old habits that will vote the way that they've always voted, even knowing that the party they're voting for is poor. I mean, people will still vote Conservative, even though we can see quite clearly that the guy who's running the party is completely nuts.
The thing is, Cliff, that yeah, but the thing is that huge portion of the electorate that don't bother to vote because they've given up on politics. If we could re-inspire, reignite,
100%.
re-engage them with a message of hope, that to me has always been like, that's the way that we're going to do it.
100%. And so the platform basically will allow independent MPs to come in, to create a profile that can be seen without someone being a member on the platform. So they can go there and they can watch a video, they can see their manifesto, they can read about them as a human being, because one of the things we're pushing every independent MP to do is to stop focusing on the manifesto and the what I'll do if I get in, because that's what everybody else is doing. Everybody else is going, this is what I'll do if I get in, this is what I'll do. Well, nobody likes politicians anymore. So it's pretty stupid to go out there and say, I'm going to be a politician. So the directive we're telling every independent is about, they need to connect with the individual. They need to understand, I live in this area, I've lived here all my life, I care about whatever, my children went to this school, you know, blah, 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 blah. They need to understand that the person's real, and they have integrity and honesty, and they actually give a damn about the constituency because they're part of it themselves. And then they can say, these are the 3 local things that I'm focused on, and these are the 3 national, the way I feel about the 3 national. So it's a secondary, because you've got to connect with the people, because exactly what you were saying, Rachel, is that people don't like politicians anymore. They don't trust them. They don't want anything to do with them. So the moment you go out with that message of manifesto, and this is what I'm going to do, immediately people see you as a politician. So they switch off. So the way to put the disrupt into that is to not do that. Is to say, actually, you know what? I'm not a politician. Cool. I'm glad you don't like politicians, because I'm not. It's things like that cause disruption. It's like, what do you mean you're not a politician? I'm not a politician. I'm a local person that really cares about this constituency and wants to listen to what people want and how they want to run this constituency, and oh, okay, and it's a disrupt. It's a complete disrupt to the whole thing. But basically, the platform will allow MPs to kind of come in and send out messages to all of their kind of members and followers. So they'll be able to come in through Greater Britain. They'll be able to come in through the MP. They'll be able to find the MP in their local area, join their membership, and actually work with them. And the MP will be able to send out video links. They'll be able to send out leaflets. They'll be able to send out event day details. They'll get alerts.
Yeah.
Everybody will get alerts. So it will start to amalgamate the people, and they'll have a centralized area. So rather than jumping on Facebook and then jumping
Yeah.
on,
And
then
also
jumping.
working out who's going to stand in which constituency, which is often shrouded until the last minute. I'm just going to say hello to Hugh. Sorry to interrupt.
Hi,
Jeff,
sorry
but-
for late joining.
Hi, Hugh. Welcome. Good to see you for the first time.
Yeah, well,
And-
usually it's clashed with my work meetings normally, but yeah.
Yes. Yes, it's good to know that you're a real person and not a an AI robot.
No, definitely not. Less AI, the better.
So Hugh, just tell us a bit about you, and are you intending to stand, and what's your constituency?
So it's Ynys Môn, Anglesey, North Wales is my local constituency. Background, I was involved in politics a lot over the years, the last 20, 25 years, in terms of I used to sit on local Conservative branches for my sins. But about 2 years ago, I left the party, resigned my position on the local branch up here, and then resigned my membership as well because of the way the party was going. I just saw it being totally non-conservative anymore, no care for the membership. The policies were what I was thinking, just going far to the left in terms of, traditional values of the family, of religion. Everything was against what I thought was just common decency for people and common, respect for people. They didn't want to. They got so bad. They basically did not want to hear views from the membership. So
yeah,
I quit.
Are you not tempted, Hugh? Are you not tempted to be part of Reform?
I am sort of tempted, but the thing up here where I am in the heart of Wales, the extreme sort of northwest, is I think for any candidate that wants to stand, although I've lived here most of my life, I left when I left school from Wales, and all my working career has been in England. So I'm a project manager and commercial manager in construction. And all my work, because I couldn't get any work in Wales until about 10 years ago, I've worked all around England, from north to south, east to west, all over the country. And a candidate up here needs to be bilingual to, I think, get a good chance of winning.
Okay.
And so that's why, one of the reasons why. The other things are, I think they'll just, the way they work, they would just go out and find any way to go against you because of my, local working for the party. It'd just be a bitter battle. I think it needs someone new, but I would support any candidate, either Reform or Independent, or if there was a Love Party, member up here who was bilingual, I'd be out there campaigning. I've got a team of ex-Conservative members who, at least 6 people, who would be out here and campaign for the local person if we could find the right person.
Yeah, cool. Roger, you've got your hand up, so I'm just going to come back to you.
Well, yeah, I just wanted to tell Cliff, would you please look at my look at the chat and see my email and contact me, because I'd like to get involved in this scheme.
Have you put it in the chat?
We're
I'll put it in the
basically
chat.
yeah, and listen, just a word of advice: don't stand up, yeah, because it's if you're only wearing your jockeys, because it is being recorded.
Yeah. Well,
So
for me to put a shirt on is very difficult because my left hand doesn't work, but
Oh,
I had a stroke, and it takes me a long time to button a shirt up.
when did you have your
So,
stroke? When did you have a stroke, Rog?
it was about 5 years ago.
Ah, okay. I didn't
I'm going to find a
realise.
link to a top that my daughter bought me, which is like a really big snuggy type top that you just literally dump on your head. It's like a huge warm fleece top. I use a hood, but it doesn't take any effort. It's literally pick it up and just drop it and stick your arms through, and that's it. And it's a really nice way of. Anyway, sorry, we digress. Back on.
Well, yeah, I mean, actually, Rachel bought me something like that, but it's not in this room. It's in the other room.
So I'm still building the platform. So the idea of the platform is going to be that there will be we'll be having Zoom calls between all the independent MPs, so that every independent MP across the country can actually have a conversation with each other and advise and kind of help each other out and get to know each other and realize they're not alone. There's multitude of them, and we've already been speaking to quite a few of those, Dr. Chan and Judy and people across the country. The MPs will also have their own area, like I said, to promote themselves to their constituents and to their members, and to advise them when events are going to be, where to tell them if they, and potentially to even donate, because we've got a donate area as well, so they could even donate. And obviously we've got to look into the legality of how they do that, but they could put up a kind of just giving almost. I need £300 to print some leaflets, for instance, whatever. They'll be able to hold Zoom calls. I've been told the kind of maximum they can hold is 35 at this moment to keep a good connection. But you can get up to 75 people, but the connection starts to get, because it is a self-contained platform. It's owned by a lady who built it, and so she has it on her servers. So the problem obviously comes that to get more people, she'd have to basically get more bandwidth. She'd have to invest more on the time and effort on the kind of talk and Zoom facility. So we're kind of pushing things forward as we can. It'll also allow Greater Britain to communicate with everybody. So we'll be funneling people in as all the work that we're doing. We're also going out and speaking to people like Direct Democracy. We're talking to people like Block Vote, which has a structure where they can MPs can actually, if they get into their constituency, they can use Block Vote, which allows them to directly communicate with their constituents in a kind of a very simplified manner, and it allows them to kind of do the direct democracy type route and send out information to their constituents and say, what do you want me to stand for? What do you want me to protect? What do you want, basically? And it allows all of their constituents to come back very quickly and kind of immediately vote on that. So we're looking at multiple organizations. We're looking at multiple people. We're just, at this moment, my focus is totally on building the platform, because until I've got the platform ready, all I can do currently is keep pulling in members, individuals, basically people who want to do something about it. I think we've got over 200, 300 members already, just from my work on LinkedIn. And I haven't yet gone out to other institutions. And I do seem to find a lot of ego within a lot of these organizations. It's almost like, oh no, this is our, these are our people, and some of they know these are our people. It's like kind of like, well, yeah. This is nonsense. This is actually a way bigger than any kind of stupid ego type thing, which is why I'm not even into bloody politics. But for me, it's about the common good and the sovereign right and Yeah, and everything, and people are actually just standing up. And the whole point of this is just to bring as many people together as possible to try and to prevent the Conservatives or the Labour getting in. So the whole of this is just about that. Is that I'm not standing or got any kind of claim to fame or anything else that's going to happen from it. But I hope we can convince other organisations to kind of promote this and start to push Greater Britain, just with the understanding that we're not after anything apart from funneling people down into Greater Britain and then funneling them out to their MPs, their independent MPs, so they can start to support and communicate with each other really quickly and easily on a single platform. So MPs can go on, create a blog, they can immediately share it with LinkedIn, they can put it on Twitter, they can put it on Facebook, they can put it on all the platforms basically. So it really allows them to kind of have this event and Zoom call and interactivity with all their people in an enclosed small group and community, which I think is the biggest issue for most independents. Basically, it's manpower.
Oh, yeah.
It's having feet on and people going out there and talking on your behalf. So that's what we're building at this moment, and it's it's a bit of a job if anybody's ever been involved in technology, but I'm getting there bit by bit. It's we're pushing. I'm pushing hard on it.
So this is the thing, isn't it? That at the moment, independents are all fragmented, but your vision to bring everyone together, that then becomes a force to be reckoned with, because it is like a whole body, like in unison, and that's what the system really doesn't want. It wants us to be fragmented and weak, and to have this mindset that you can never win if you're an independent, and that if we can smash through that mindset, like we're going to lose our deposit. I think we have to just let go of all of these.
And they've used so many differentiating. In fact, Julie, you spoke about one where it's a great. So it's one of my favourite subjects where you're called a racist. And I've got to be, there's no such thing as race. You just want to say that to people. I can't be a racist because there is no thing as race. There is only one race. It's called the human race. That's the end of it. That's the end of the conversation. It's like, there is the human race. And if they start saying, oh yeah, but it's, they start mentioning color, you say, well, that's just being colorist. That's got nothing to do with race. There's no race called white, and in fact, I'm not even bloody white. I'm kind of, olivey, pinky, and there's no such, it doesn't even exist. So people use this word now all the time to, again, it's a separation, nationality, separation, gender.
Yeah.
They're
It's like you mentioned football earlier. And when you think of football teams, they can be sort of opponents when they're playing, but then they go and play for the England team. Yes, they've got to be eligible, I presume, to play for the England team, but then they are playing together. And this is what we need to be allowed to do. I mean, I did some martial arts, and what you do is you do your sparring and things, but then afterwards you shake hands. And it's proper discipline, and this is what we need to learn to do in politics, and not to just be calling each other honourable, stabbing each other in the back pretty much, or also sometimes they're just doing it as a bit of a play because they've already decided between them what they're going to do anyway, and they just do it for us to see the theatre, and this is what we need to stop.
Absolutely.
And it should be more about the policies anyway. It shouldn't be more about, you're for this people. It should be for everyone, and the good of the people, every man, woman and child, whatever it is. It's the policies that need to be good. And yeah, race shouldn't come into it, gender shouldn't come into it, whatever.
And also we need minimal rules and regulation and policies. Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
If I had my way,
let me just
sorry, go on.
agree with you in one way. Sorry about that, but if you're going to run for independence, it's really important. Policies right now, if you go out on policies in your area, then you're immediately seen as a politician. I said this earlier on. What people need, you need a disrupt, and the disrupt is that you're a human being and you actually give a damn, and you live in the area, and your family live in the area, and you care for the area, and you're embedded in the area. So if somebody says, oh, I don't like politicians, you say, great, I'm not one.
I get
And
that.
that's a disruption.
I
It's
get
a
that.
complete disruption.
Don't call it a policy then. Just call it what you believe in. Yeah.
Absolutely. And
What
actually,
you stand for,
don't
what you
have any.
believe in.
But you don't even have any anyway, because I don't give a damn what you think. I'm only interested in what the constituents think, because they're the ones
Yeah.
going to give me the policies, and they're going to tell
That's
me
exactly
what to
it.
stand for.
This is exactly it.
It's not about me.
It's
And
not
it's
about,
getting
yeah.
out of their usual jargon. Because if we keep with their usual jargon, certain people think that we mean what their traditional way, if we call it traditional way of being, has been. And we need to get rid of that jargon, because that alienates the people as well. And we need to get properly talking to the people, find out what they want, really understanding them, not just talking to them, but understanding what they want.
This is a restoration, in truth. It's a restoration of what members of parliament were traditionally. They were representatives of the people.
Oh yeah.
And that's it. So it's been so corrupted. So this, and the party, as you found, Julie, when you're handing out leaflets for reform, the minute you put a label on yourself, oh, I'm handing out leaflets for reform, it's an instant decision of like attack, like, or yes, no, because they love everything to be binary, yes, no decisions in the matrix, right? So you're absolutely right, Cliff. Like pattern interrupting. That's the key thing that is
vital.
Important.
And ironically, I delivered some Workers' Party of Britain leaflets at the same time as delivering the leaflets for Alan Graves. I don't call them reform leaflets, but for Alan Graves to get rid of this mayor position. And so, yeah, people will have received those both on the same.
How did that go down?
Well, I didn't
like a
have
double
anyone,
agent.
I didn't have anyone that spoke to me about it. I did give a leaflet to someone, and I didn't. Oh, I don't know if I even got to actually give one to, because it was chucking it down with rain while I was doing it. I came back and absolutely, yeah, it was like I was in the shower. So yeah, I don't think I actually spoke to anyone physically that day, because that's another thing I don't like doing. I'm not a knock on the door person, and to me, I don't want to do what they've been doing, but if someone wants to talk to me, I will do. Yeah.
I mean, I actually found that is probably one of the if you can do it, do it, because like I say, you just get a leaflet through the door and that's it. There's no discussion. There's no, well, what about me? That's what you say on your leaflet you want, but what about me? And that's where my local MP, who I used to work with, I must say, but they wouldn't talk to the local people. I said, well, why are you just putting leaflets? You've never knocked on the doors and talked to people.
I absolutely hate it when people knock on my door and want to talk politics. So that's why I don't do it. But I do go to the local.
Well, I'm not talking about politics. Well, you've got to talk to people to understand. You've got to talk to people to understand what they want, or what their views are, or what's important to them.
If you want to understand what they want.
But that's where I don't want to enforce me talking to people.
Yeah, and no, and some people don't. I mean, we had, I went out with a team usually of about 10, 15 people, and 50% of them purely wanted to just put the leaflets through the door, which was fine, and that was what they wanted to do. And everyone is different, and some people are comfortable with doing different things. But I found getting to understand, people and their issues and their concerns. The best way I found personally was obviously just to knock on the door, say hello, and just explain, I'm here to. And sometimes I didn't even mention, I've started off with a question, just here canvassing, like to talk to you about your views on any particular issues in terms of the upcoming elections, etc., etc.
I have to say that's how Alan said he got elected, that he did it through actually knocking on doors and speaking to people, but he did it from a list of voters. That's what he said. So he bought the list, which you can get, because when you go to vote, they tick your name. So you know who's. So he went through that list and he basically went and spoke to all the people who he knew voted, and basically just introduced himself and kind of won. As he's quite a nice guy, actually, Alan, isn't he? So he's the sort of guy makes the effort, and you quite like him, so you probably say, "Yeah, I'll vote for you." So
And I know when I was delivering for the Oak Tree Ward, there was a man came out shouting at me basically just because I'd put the leaflet through his letterbox.
You're going to
And
get all sorts on canvassing.
no, but thank you. I just spoke to him.
Yeah.
I can't remember what I said, but then he was absolutely fine with me, and even
Yeah.
sort of left me calling me darling. So
Oh, wonderful. Yeah.
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 So
Yeah.
I was pleased that he did come out and that I managed to help him to calm, and then he could see that I'm not your usual politician, because I'd still call
Yeah.
myself a non-politician. I am not
Yeah.
a politician.
Yeah.
yes,
I
Yeah.
think for me, I
Cool.
think I'm just hoping that Sunak is as cowardly as I think he is.
Sunak.
And puts off the general election until the latest he can, which will be January.
Really?
Yeah, because it gives us much more time to actually start.
Correct. Yeah, I agree. 100%.
And start the
Yeah.
build.
I agree too.
I can't believe he's going to do it in July, unless he's been told
In
that he
June,
has to.
Galloway said. June. Galloway said
Yeah.
June.
And if he's been told he has to by powers that be, I mean, he's got a fall in his sword, but don't worry, chap, we'll look after you, and you've got loads of money coming in anyway, so it's all okay.
Yeah.
Because he must know that there's zero chance of him or the Conservatives winning this current election. I mean, there's just no chance whatsoever. Everybody despises him from what I've seen, and he's sort of
But
horrible.
Cliff, just thinking about it, I wonder if they're using the psychology, if they do it in June, people will be fed up of voting, so they won't bother to go out and vote, apart from the people that we push into it, and then they might get more votes. So they could be doing that.
Absolutely. It's exactly one of the blog I was just writing before I jumped on the call was exactly this. It's just starts off with we win. And it's all about, what would you do if you were in power and you wanted to keep power? What would you do? If you had no integrity, moral compass, or anything else, what would you do to ensure that you got into power one way or another?
Yeah.
And it is just to kind of destroy people, depress them, and make them apathetic. And so, yeah, that's a good point, Julie. But my thing was, why was Obama, the real president of America? Why was he over here having a separate conversation with Sunak? I mean, that for me is a very strange thing that's going on there. We know that there, but anyway, that's the way I digress.
We have to look at this, I think, in the bigger picture as well, because obviously America has got Biden and Trump, and that's coming up in November. And the one thing that will stop these elections is World War III, and people have been saying that.
Yeah.
Like it could, to avoid actually going to the ballot box. That is the one thing that would stop an election
Ukraine.
actually happening. Yeah, just to declare emergency.
There's a new Hollywood film called Civil War or something like that.
In America,
Apparently,
no, there
yeah.
is.
I mean,
There
it
is.
must be by happen chance. It's got nothing to do with anything, but it just so happens there's a film released called Civil War.
Eli was talking about this. Yeah.
I'm open. Yeah. I'm open to all that happening, because I think it's so there's so much corrupt, and there's so much money, and there's so much power being played with right now that they won't do anything. They'll do anything they possible. We've seen already that they'll do anything they can to maintain power. I mean, literally anything, kill people,
Oh yeah.
destroy anything. They're not interested at all. They're protected, they're coveted, and they'll do whatever they can to ensure they maintain power. So I just want it to go. I just don't want it to be June. I want it to be to give us as much time as possible to rally and get as many people, because even if we don't get the result that we want, the rallying of people and the bringing of people together into a single platform in a single area allows us to do other things, and start to become much more community based, to have conversations about sovereign law, to have all these different things appear that we can start to discuss and share and educate and support each other in different districts. So for me, it doesn't matter. There's a secondary operation anyway that can occur. It's just we have to come together now. We have to. We have to.
So
Simple as
Roger's
that.
got his hand up. Let's go to Rog.
Well, I just wanted to know what people think about the migrant situation. It's getting pretty serious. I saw a video yesterday, which I think I sent you actually, Rachel. It was one by what's his name now? Anyway, Godfrey Bloom. Yeah, and it wasn't important that it was by Godfrey Bloom, but the content of the video was that migrants now are flying into Ireland, that southern Ireland, the Republic of Ireland, and they're just walking straight through. You know, the authorities are allowing these people, illegal immigrants, to just walk straight through. You
Well,
know,
it's
so
happening in the UK as well. There was that guy, the MP, who lost his cabinet job because he went to the press about the same thing coming through Heathrow, or was it Gatwick? One of the
really,
two. Yep, they're
really,
doing exactly the same thing in the UK and in
you know,
America.
do you know about the thoughts of a lot of these are being brought in for when civil war does get created, if it does, and so that they are going to actually be standing for the authorities. And when you look at some people that have had bailiffs and the number of the migrants that have apparently been involved in standing to
Yeah.
stop the local people saving those properties. Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
it's
if
like,
you, oh,
sorry.
sorry.
I was going to say Serco, Serpent Company, Serco, you know, these big corporations that handle these government contracts, they love, you know, those kind of people happy to follow orders and don't need to be paid much.
But I
It's
think it's,
happening all over the
I think
country.
it's more than
But
that.
they're trying to use the psychology of it, of these people that have come in, and yes, okay, we're paying for them, but look, at least they're working, and that's the psychology they're using to
Yeah.
justify them being in those posts.
But also, you
Cliff,
see,
Cliff, sorry.
they're not English, and so therefore they don't give a damn. They have no connection. I watched a great video a short while ago where the bailiffs had turned up to a house, I think it was in Derbyshire, and there were a large percentage of people who were not from the UK. And
Yeah.
the guys, one of them actually turned around and says, "Guys, come on, please. You know, this is a human being you're talking about here. This is a person that lives here, and it's their house." And the one person that walked away was an Englishman who turned around and went, "You're right, mate," and walked off. And he went, "Thank you." But all the rest, they had the mask, they had the facial things on, and they weren't. And you could see that they weren't connected, because if you're connected to the UK and you're a British citizen and everything else, and you plead to someone's heart and say, "Hold on a minute, you know, this is." You're one of, I'm one of you, you're one of me. What are you doing? This could be your mum, this could be your, that message suddenly, if you're from this country, resonates really, because you've got the connection. But the
Yeah.
moment you're not from this country, that I'm not,
And
I don't
this
care.
is why we need to really keep with the love, not the fear. So the
Yeah.
liberation, opportunity, vitality, empowerment, really keep with those, but that does not mean that we're walked all over. And it's that.
And get the local community out in those situations,
Yeah.
because that's the only way you'll stop them, is a lot of local people standing up, protecting that person who is trying to be evicted, and probably illegally, without proper paperwork and all the rest of it. And it just needs a few people with a bit of knowledge to turn them away.
Yeah, and this is where I know some of the local Reform UK people in Derbyshire have been standing up in those ways, and they've been so genuine with it from what I've seen of them. And so
Yeah.
I might not agree with people like Richard Tyson, Lee Anderson, but those people have been there for the people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm really sorry. I've got to disappear, and it's been a brilliant.
So have I. I've got a meeting at 1.
Yeah, well, we're nearly at 1, so let's close. Thanks for coming on, Cliff, and we'll just
My pleasure.
Yeah, lots of love, and speak to you soon. And we'll just close up here then if you need to pop off. And you, Hugh, thanks for coming on, and good to see
Okay,
you.
no problem. Thank you.
Stay strong. Independence the way forward. And Roger, I'll 100%, mate. I'll do whatever I can to help you. And I've got leaflets I've designed for other people. I'll send you that on email. I'll post them places wherever I can. I'll speak to Rachel about it. and it's a template that you can basically follow, and you can just change a few images. If you can't do it, I can do it. I'll do whatever I can, mate. No worries. All right.
Well,
send
Thanks,
the link.
guys.
Thank
Wish
you.
you a beautiful weekend.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Hugh.
Right, so any last comments or thoughts? But I do feel that there's a lot to be said for keeping the faith about being independent and not giving into having to be a part. The feeling that we've got to be part of a political party to have any chance of anything. I don't think that's true, and I think there's a strong case for independence to actually restore the true like nature of being a member of parliament is a representative of the people, and none of the parties can really do that. They can't really offer that.
And this is the real truth of what independence is. And
Yeah.
as you know from what I've said before, the Independent Forum in Mansfield aren't independent, and they're not even, in my view, the equivalent to what Labour used to be. And so they're more sort of new Labourish. So, yeah. But that's why the Workers' Party of Britain does seem the right thing for me at the moment. But I'm not just going to stay in there if it doesn't feel right to.
Yeah. Okay, thanks for coming on. Lots of love, and speak to you soon. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye-bye,
Thank you.
Rich. Bye-bye.
Bye.